The Fearless Launching Show was created to answer the question, how can I launch my big idea to the world in the most simple, straightforward way possible and reach more of the right people? I'm your host, Ann Samoylov, and I've been helping 6- and 7-figure business owners launch for over a decade. And while I love geeking out about improving launches, new launch strategies, what's working, what's not working, I'm also obsessed with exploring the heart, the mind, the challenges of running your own business. And that's what we're going to do each and every week. I want to show you how to launch that course or coaching program or other creative work and navigate the journey of being an online entrepreneur. So if you're ready for some new perspectives, some new stories around launching, I can't wait to share those with you. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another refocus session. We're going to be talking about something that I think happens to a lot of us, right? Have you ever felt just like you had to show up, white knuckle your way through the day, the week, or even longer just to get a bunch of stuff done? There was no debating whether something needed to get done or not. You just had to power through and get it done. Have you ever even said those words? Because I have. If you're in a mode where you're questioning everything or delaying things too long or something, let's just say you know that you feel you need to power through. We're going to talk about that today. And the thing is, powering through can be a good thing or a way to focus and get what you need to get done and really to push a big project forward. But there are some downsides to powering through too. So before we get to those, let's talk about a positive way to approach powering through. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly because here are the rules. If you're going to power through, you need a specific deadline. You need a specific focus for your project. You need a dialed in and very clear, here's how we know when we're done, like a goal. Number 4, you're going to reduce those distractions because it's going to be focus week. Don't call it powering through. Call it focus week or something, or a sprint. And then number 5, you want to keep it short. You don't want to be powering through or have that be your go-to move or your go-to way of working. Okay, let's get into the downsides because I think these are, once we hear what these downsides are to powering through, we're like, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. Because spoiler alert, these downsides also impact key parts of your experience as an online business owner and other people's experience of your business. Your creativity, your productivity, your overall well-being, and people will know. That's actually one of the downsides. People will see this and get this from you. Okay? So let's talk about the biggest downside to powering through, and that is burnout. Pushing yourself to create content nonstop can lead to burnout. With no end in sight, without an intentional focus, all of that can result in physical and mental exhaustion. I know personally. So not only that, but you may experience things like not being motivated, been there, and worse, the quality of your work might even decline too. And you're like, what is going on? You know it, you feel it. If you've ever been in this situation, you're like, this just isn't working for me. Okay, so number 2 in the downsides list related to this burnout and the quality of your work is creativity drain. Similar to burnout, exhaustion, stay in this powering through mode too long without a break, and you're bringing your creativity to a halt. I mean, your ideas and your excitement about your ideas and your excitement to develop those ideas. So just like muscles, like when we're going to the gym, muscles repair and are built during the rest period. That's why people take days off in between their workouts or in between body parts, rather. And you need to do this. Creativity has a chance to regenerate and literally thrive and grow when you have time to rest and allow new ideas to emerge, right? So step away, my friend, if you've been powering through for too long, and only you are going to know that, okay? If you've been struggling to come up with ideas, maybe you've been working too much, too long, powering through, just trying to get it done, not really thinking about why or what. You just know you have to get it done. Number 3, I feel like this is maybe an obvious one, but maybe not. Powering through leads to a decrease in your work-life balance. And I really hate that phrase, work-life balance, but there is a balance, and it's going to be different for everyone. Overcommitting to your online work may actually cause strain on your personal life, on your relationships. Neglecting family, friends, activities, health, going to the doctor can lead to feelings of really just unhappiness and isolation. Especially working online, isolation can be one of those big problems. And if all you're doing day and night is literally fingers to the bone, creating and not taking time to step away, not nurturing those relationships and really working on yourself, having time for yourself, that can be a really big problem and can lead to number 4, which is declining mental health. Constantly working and being connected online. I'm assuming you felt this just because I haven't. I've talked to so many different people, but just being connected and online all the time, it really can take a toll on your mental health, and you won't even know it until you do get an opportunity to step away. You might become susceptible to stress, anxiety, and depression due to the pressure to perform, the need for constant engagement. You might find yourself actually shrinking from the normal things that you were doing, and that's like an avoidance kind of anxiety. I'm going to talk a little bit more about mental health in the coming weeks. Hopefully I have a guest who'll be coming on and we'll be talking about anxiety and also this online space, because I definitely have experienced it, and it's almost impossible not to have some sort of impact when you're working completely alone for most of the part. Even if you have a team, sometimes you're not even seeing them, you're not talking to them, it's just words in a Slack channel, right? So you got to look for those other ways to step outside that environment. Okay, downside number 5 is really missing opportunities to evaluate your work, look at your work, think about your work, maybe improve what you're doing. So when you're focused solely on just producing, let's say you're producing content and courses and podcasts, you might be actually neglecting a chance to improve your, let's say, copywriting skill or your networking or your network in general, and learning in any other way that might be useful for you. And those things are important for your long-term business success. So don't downplay the importance of stepping back, evaluating, growing, learning in other ways. All right, number 6. This is going to be an interesting one. So, inconsistent content. So here's the thing, rushing through work, just trying to pump it out. Hopefully you've spent a little bit of time really thinking through, let's say you have a podcast series or season that you're working on, and maybe you've come up with a theme for the whole thing. I really hope you have. Really try to think through, because when you're just pumping things out, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? It really can lead to inconsistencies that you don't see until you see them. So the content style, the tone, the messaging, it really can confuse your audience and reduce their engagement with you. They might just be like, I don't get it. Or it's all over the place, right? You're not seeing it as all over the place because you're just like getting it out. I'll tell you, for this season of the podcast, every single episode is already plotted out before I'm recording it, because I'm looking at the other ones that I've talked about and made sure, okay, I can also mention that, which is something that we talked about there. I want to make sure there's as many links and connections as I possibly can make in between all the episodes. All right, number 7. So this one's a little bit longer. It's ignoring strategy and changes because you're only producing, but not thinking. So again, back to evaluate, grow, and learn. which you might stop doing that with your work when you're not thinking. And this actually was something that I thought about for Brooke Castillo has this episode about super thinking. Just look it up. And really, I love that when you're able to sit back and really think through what you're doing. Now, it doesn't mean you overthink through, so there is definitely a balance there. But when you're just making all the time and you're always in go mode, you might overlook opportunities to shift your content strategy or look at your email data or make decisions to improve something that maybe didn't get the response you thought it would. So don't power through and then be like, oh, what did I do? Create like 6 months of content and I could have shifted things month 2. So you really want to think through that, because powering through isn't necessarily making you a winner here. Number 8, and this is, I think, the one that is the hardest to see coming until it's there. And so I really hope you've heard me with these other 7. But if you've ignored all of that and you're like, I'm just going to power through as long as I get that content out, doesn't matter, your audience will zone out. If your audience senses that you're not fully engaged with them or producing content haphazardly, then they might lose interest and they might disengage from your work or you. And I always think about this because I've worked on so many online teams over the past more than a decade at this point, and it's pretty amazing how you can feel someone's energy just by listening to their podcast, attending their webinar, even if it's recorded, or watching them on video, or even reading an email. So powering through might mean you aren't really paying attention to how you're sounding and what you're putting out there. And someone can tell your energy, there's a lot that they can tell without you even under the surface. It's just wild. So obviously there is a balance between productivity, self-care, setting boundaries, taking regular time off, stepping away from tasks at specific times to evaluate, building in time to analyze and think about the work you're doing and if it's aligned with your brand and your audience. And if we go back to those benefits of powering through I talked about at the beginning, they are only when we only when we define a clear time frame to power through, clarify exactly what and why we're focusing for a specific project, like what are we hoping to accomplish, and we move into that sprint with the energy of excitement and knowing we'll rest after it's done. Now, this was a lot to say as we move into this week and you're thinking about what you want to accomplish. Think about this. Think about, what does the business need me to create? What does my audience need me to create? Even if it's not the right amount of content, how can you be so intentional about what you do this week? And if you're going to do a power through session this week, give yourself 3 days to just do whatever. Like day 1, I'll do this. Day 2, I'll do this. Day 3, I'll do this. And then I want to hear from you. I'm getting some great emails. I want to hear from you. My email will be in the show notes. So just click on that and let me know what you're focused on this week. Now, I know we all want to power through, get more done, win the game, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? You can't. You just gotta stop right now. And I hope that some of what I've shared today has you just taking a beat. Take a beat. If you do nothing else, take a beat and think about what you're creating before you create it. Okay? Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you on Thursday, and I'll talk to you soon.